The quarterfinals for Blast Rivals Season 2 in Hong Kong are in the books. We had Pain Gaming cruising past Passion UA to book their spot with a rematch against Furia. Then on the other side of the bracket, we had Spirit and Vitality going to the very ends of the earth, multiple overtimes, every map as close as could be, and on the other side of it, Vitality once again putting in another unkillable performance to keep their flawless record against Team Spirit alive. But, and maybe this is the minority opinion in the community right now, I think if you're Team Spirit, you're not that mad about this loss. There was a lot of good stuff here compared to how middling things have been for some time now. There are moments from this game worth building upon. Donk looked like Donk again. If you're Spirit, you gave it your best shot, but Vitality continued to prove why they are at worst the second best team in the world. The semifinals are now set. The battle for Brazil, Pain versus Furia, and yet another heated matchup between Vitality and Falcons. Let's go ahead and see how we got there. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, you should remember leaving a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, help me take kisses by the end of the year, and lastly, follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. I stream every single night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I will say, as far as Pain Gaming goes, I think we have to give this team a lot of respect. When they hit playoffs, they tend to look better. This is one of those teams that seem to really rise to the moment when they're in a playoff environment, especially on stage in front of a crowd. And I guess I just didn't factor that well enough into my calculus when it came to deciding how close this series was going to be. I thought Passion UA could put up a fight, maybe even win on the right day. Instead, we had a very one-sided 2-0 series for Pain Gaming where they stomped through Nuke 13-4 and then blitzed through Inferno 13-7. They were clearly the better team in a way that makes tonight's semifinal against Furia actually a lot more interesting, because Furia are by no means a flawless team. If they go quiet at the wrong time, it's not unreasonable to say that Pain could actually fluke their way through into the grand finals. That's certainly on the cards. Anyways, I'm going to be honest, there's not much Counter-Strike analysis for me to give you guys. I will say the beginning on Nuke was certainly interesting. As Pain took the pistol round, they converted the anti-eco thereafter. But what was interesting is that JT out the gate was hitting some blinders with the Deagle. So we come into the third round, and he just starts spazzing with the Deagle outside. The 5-7 start firing off from Grim and Nyx as well. And all of a sudden, this full save, this just upgraded pistol buy from Passion UA, takes a round off Pain and sets him on the back foot. It gives them enough money to where Passion UA can force up an op onto Halzerk in the round thereafter. Meanwhile, Pain are scrapping by with just a very low buy with a Scout, AK, and some upgraded pistols. But right out the gate, NQC is going to lance Halzerk and take the op out of the equation entirely. And that's going to just kind of spiral the round out of control. As after about 40 seconds, Pain are going to slow rotate back outside, get downstairs the secret. Big Uzera and the lobby lurks to pick up another one dig on the Squeaky player, and NQZ forces the remaining players into a save after a scout pick into the vents. So it feels like the momentum is right back in Pain's favor, but with the saved weapons, Passion can rebuy into the next round, and Grim has a fantastic hold from heaven with the AUG. Like we talked about in yesterday's video, it's really interesting to watch him play around with the AUG, as he is pretty much the only specialist like that in Tier 1, and honestly, I see the upside a lot. I'm tempted to use the AUG myself after watching more Grim POVs. It just seems like an absurdly underappreciated weapon for how accurate it is. Anyways, Passion flipped that into a 4v3 lead at this point in the half. Unfortunately, that would be the last round they win, as DGT would essentially break open the game for Pain Gaming on that pivotal 8th round, and they wouldn't look back. This is just one of those games where the scoreboard doesn't always tell a great story, but it tells a lot in this case. That's a whole lot of green for Pain, and a whole lot of not green for Passion UA. And listen, for the sake of brevity and the fact that there's going to be a lot to talk about in the Spirit Vitality series, Inferno, much more the same. Passion UA made it more close out the gate on the first half of their T side. They won the second round force buy and turned it into 4 straight rounds. But as soon as Pain got in control of their ZT side, they won 6 straight rounds of their self. They got onto their T side, they won the T side pistol round. They held Passion UA to just 3 more round wins after that opening flurry. This was obviously just a one-sided series. Looking ahead to that semifinals, DGT, Davideus, and NQZ are going to be pivotal in their head-to-head matchups versus Furia. If these 3 players cannot frag out like they did today, Pain will have a very tough time dealing with Furia, because at the end of the day, as much as I really like Big Uzera as a caller, Fallen has the advantage in this matchup. He is going to be able to call circles in the mid-round, so if Pain cannot play and take their contact adequately, it's going to be a real struggle. Now, the other wrinkle is that this is a Brazil-on-Brazil matchup, and that tends to be a bit more chaotic than other domestic matchups. So as much as I am on the Furia is winning the major hype train, I have to admit, this is probably going to be a closer series than anyone is expecting tonight. It'll be interesting to see it play out. For Passion UA, you made the playoffs in this event. That's pretty cool. I think this complexity core will continue to bring you like solid tier 1.5 results. Kavem had an awful series, but he's a young player. Maybe he can grow into this aggressive rifler role, and that can give them another aspect to work with. But Grim and Halzerk will get you a long way, as they've shown here at Rivals Hong Kong. Alright, with that, let's get on to the big one. Vitality versus Spirit, another just classic game between these two. This went to the very wire. We had double overtime on Nuke, all 24 rounds needed on Dust 2, overtime on Mirage to close it. The way I could best describe the series was Spirit were throwing haymakers. They managed to rock Vitality more than once and put them on the back foot in a way that it looked like Spirit might advance to the semifinals multiple times. However, Vitality, and this has been one of the most titular aspects of this roster at its peak, is so good at not folding, at not faltering when the knockout blow comes in. Time and time again, they can take that to the chin, step back, and then throw one right back. Whether that was surviving multiple great clutches on Dust 2, Donk's 1v5 on Nuke, the multiple insane clutches on Mirage, Vitality always seemed to find an answer, and their average level just seemed to be better. But if I had to speak for Spirit here, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think you can walk away feeling like this was an underperformance. If anything, I think there's a lot of positives to walk away from. What I speculated about in yesterday's video kind of came to fruition. If Spirit were going to lose, I wanted them to lose close. And they lost close while making a lot of good Counter-Strike plays along the way. While Zwei and Tenier still struggled, they both had their individual moments. Donk looked like Donk for the majority of this series. Now, that doesn't erase all the struggles Spirit have been having, by no means, but the hope for Spirit right now with this roster that clearly isn't working is they can at least get to an average level to where they can still be a competitor at this major. I still think they're going to need to replace Zwei long term, but if they can make the most of what they got, then suddenly they can be back in that dark horse contention at Budapest. Anyways, Dust 2 started off with Vitality very firmly in the lead on their CT half. They won 5 of the first 6 rounds. ZywoOo especially was off to a very hot start. They really only had 1 fumble, and that was a great Tenier clutch on the 3rd round. But other than that, great damage control from Vitality, very early at shutting down Donk and limiting his opening kill attempts. However, they were only really able to do that for so long. Donk did come alive towards the end of this first half with multiple multi-kill rounds, breaking open space into both B and Catwalk, doing just Donk things. And that was pivotal to keep this close at 6-6 going into Spirit's often more stronger CT side. Spirit did a great job of not enabling Vitality to have early momentum. They won the pistol round, Vitality opted for the save on the 2nd, they won the first gun round very convincingly, and when Vitality opted for a force buy on the 4th, Spirit also took that, meaning they got the first 4 straight to put up a pretty good lead over Vitality's head. Now, of course, as will become the theme throughout the rest of this video, Vitality are not going to go down easy, so they managed to battle it back and keep this game close. We're going to take a zoom in on the last 3 rounds and examine how the ending thrusts ended up being in Spirit's favor. Because round 22 especially was one of the last times in this series where we saw Vitality make a huge, actual blunder. This round was just a fuck up from them. About 20-30 seconds into the round, Rops is going to take a contact hit into Donk on B and lose, giving Spirit the 5v4 advantage. Vitality continued to play very slow throughout the rest of this round. ZywoOo almost gets an information pick on Chomper, but Chomper with the benefit of smoke can cross to B site safely. Now we're getting around to 30 seconds left on the clock, and Vitality need to make a move. However, this is where the mistake comes in. I don't think Apex is supposed to have the bomb here, but he ends up way extended beyond his teammates all the way up to almost B doors before he goes down to Chomper, stranding the bomb firmly in Spirit's possession with the rest of the Vitality players nowhere near to support him. I don't think Apex is supposed to be holding the bomb, or maybe ZywoOo is supposed to be closer on his heels, but whatever happens, the bomb is totally out of place and it cost Vitality this round, forcing a very sloppy save. With a huge blunder like that, you would think that Vitality were going to crumble having given Spirit a match point, but no, they bounce back into the next round really strongly. Playing with only these saved rifles in the op from the previous round, they're going to wait about a minute in before Mezzi's going to late entry long and take out Tenier. From there, ZywoOo's going to catch Donk crossing through middle, just totally wide open, and suddenly that's going to sequester the remaining A anchors from Zwei on the B site. Shiro would have had to do some legendary shit to make this hold work, but only gets 1 pick for his trouble before getting traded out by Mezzi again. Then the late push outdoors by Rops takes out Chopper, Zwei gets the trail into Rops, and he just has to save thereafter, meaning that we're heading into the last round of regulation. And flat out, I like the gamble from Spirit here. They're going to make a positional change. Donk, instead of being the secondary B anchor alongside Zwei, is going to rotate towards A. Chopper is going to take up his spot. So Spirit are sacrificing the strength of their B hold. If Vitality opt for a B hit, their two weakest riflers are there, which could definitely throw the straight into an overtime faster than you can blink. However, if Vitality, like they have been for most of this half, lean towards A again, suddenly you have Donk immediately in the action instead of to play reactionary into a post-plan situation, and frankly, it pays off perfectly. Donk tucks into Goose as the cat split comes in, and he just mows them the fuck down. A classic Donk M4A1 triple kill, a statement play from Donk to end this game, and give Spirit the 1-0 advantage heading into Nuke. So Spirit got Vitality to blink first, but Nuke is a map that's been vexing for Spirit lately, and Vitality are definitely no slouches on it. And frankly, this Nuke was an absolute bash. Spirit came out the gate swinging on their CT side. Shiro would just multi-kill after multi-kill. He hadn't died through the first 5 rounds and was just putting up monstrous numbers. But Vitality flipped the script on its head. They would win 6 of the next 7 rounds to even out the half at 6-6. And then they would go on cruise control. Even though they lost the second half pistol, they won back a dynamic force buy in Vitality fashion. They were really limiting Donk's T-side impact, and we eventually found ourselves in a situation where Spirit were down 9-12, staring down the barrel of a second map loss. And you know where this is going, guys. Donk, with one of the rounds of the year, a 1v5 clutch against Vitality with a fucking Galil on the A bomb site. Donk is like the only player in the world who can do this. He masterfully positions himself throughout this entire situation. He never gives himself up to multiple angles. He plays all of the percentages perfectly, and he's so damn accurate with an underpowered weapon. He makes it look like he's using an AK out there. And you have to love the confidence that he could have easily picked up an M4 off of the dead player in Hut, but he chose not to, just in case someone was rotating through Trophy Room. He didn't have to give up a sound cue unnecessarily. He chose to put his belief in the Galil, in his aim, get the bomb plant down, shade back towards Squeaky, clear out the back halls, come back in as Vitality were pushing down Heaven, and just hit perfect shots. And I think if this was any other team, this would have been the backbreaker. Spirit would have finished out this game. They would have won in overtime. They're going to the semifinals against Falcons. But the reality is that one of Vitality's most enduring qualities is their ability to bounce back when things are at the brink. They are one of the best comeback teams in the history of the game. And I don't have the numbers to back this up. This is just a perception bias from watching all these Vitality games. But I feel like their conversion rate for the first round of overtime is insanely high. They have a habit of just always winning that first round. And the first round of overtime is oftentimes the most pivotal in terms of momentum for the rest of the game. The teams that win that first round win the game more often than not. And as that follows, Vitality have a fantastic record in overtime sets. And look at the response call here. After allowing Spirit a lot of aggressive map control, Flamesy's going to call his number. He's going to push through to the edge of his own Squeaky smoke, look into lobby. Zwei's going to spot him first, get a lot of great shots on him, knock him down to 7 health, but it's not enough. Flamesy then backs off to Mini, and as the secondary smoke wall is coming in, ZywoOo's going to break it with a nade, exposing Donk on the cross with his knife out, allowing Flamesy to get his second pick of the round, knocking things down to a 2v5 after ZywoOo hits that shot on the chopper, giving Vitality that crucial first round win. I love the response call from Spirit here to be even more aggressive. They're going to accelerate Donk down secret even faster in the following round, and that's going to give him a great timing into the stairs fight against Rops, where he takes a great first pick. Now, ZywoOo hits an even better shot coming through into control to equalize at a 4v4. Zwei on the rotate outside at Red Box takes care of Flamesy and Mini. We cut back to Shiro at the top of the vent stairs, where he's going to hit a great flick onto Apex, and then the backup from Zwei down secret takes care of ZywoOo, putting the round out of reach for Vitality, equalizing the score at 13-13. But once again, we see Vitality slipping ahead, as in the final round of this first half, they are going to just dominate the A-side hold. Flamesy being the ever-present pest on the A bomb site, he takes a double kill before he goes down. Mezzy on top of the silo takes one of his own. ZywoOo behind him in Heaven gets a pick of his own as well. And there you go, the round is done. As we get into this first T round for Vitality in a while, we once again see Flamesy continue to be just an utter annoyance. It's going to come down to a late A hit out of Vitality. He's going to crash out Squeaky, not only take care of the player in Mustang, he's going to isolate Donk inside of the top hut smoke, take him out with a nade. Rob's behind him gets another pick of his own, and suddenly Spirit have to clear out because they're running this weird double op setup with Tanier and try and save for the next round. Flamesy just single-handedly putting his team in match point position. Spirit have to put up 2 good CT side stops to keep this game alive, and their first effort is pretty good. Donk is not going to go quiet forever as he responds with a great push through mini himself. He only gets 1 pick for his troubles because of all the flashbang spam, but Shiro gets a pick of his own as well before they get traded out by Rops, but Chopper goes undiscovered in Mustang this time, getting a clutch double kill, straining Apex into a 1v2. Chopper does well to just get the fuck out of dodge, rotate through Squeaky and get away from Apex, leaving Apex the ability to go down to the lower bomb site for sure and get the bomb down, but with Tenier already at ramp, it's just one op shot as Apex falls back before the round is over. In the final round of the first overtime, it's going to be another late A hit from Vitality. Eventually, it's going to boil down to Tenier in a 1v2 clutch situation that he converts to keep the game alive. I want to take a second and just give Tenier a lot of credit. He's going to go on to, let's just call it what it is, not play well on Mirage, but at least through these first 2 games in the series, he has looked more like what Tenier should have been when he was moved onto this team in the first place. He's still not playing like Tenier in Heroic, but he's had those moments. He's had flashes of that brilliance. And if Tenier can just find a way to get back to that consistent form that we saw throughout most of this year on Heroic, then Spirit just gets so much more scary. But at least right now, he's having moments where he's winning clutches. He's having good pockets of impact on the T side. It's getting better, and that's worth some praise. Unfortunately, OT2, which is decidedly more in Vitality's favor, Spirit would go on to only win 1 round in the second set. Vitality would be more clutch, they would limit Donk's impact, there was no big saves from the other Spirit players. Vitality closed out this game in 19-16, forcing a 3rd map on Mirage. And the first place I would like to start is that despite ZywoOo having another bad series, this was a good map from him. He was pivotal for Spirit staying alive as long as they did. The most standout part was the amazing last round of regulation standoff on the A bomb site, where from the ticket booth, he takes 3 excellent picks into the planting Vitality players. Great gunfights, great awareness from him, and great shots. Also, one of those clips you should go back and watch from the live broadcast. The crowd pop-off from this clip was fucking insane. One of the loudest crowd pop-offs of the whole year, which is kind of nuts. One thing I haven't really had a chance to talk about, the Hong Kong crowd, the Blast Rival stage setup, elite, excellent, unbelievable vibes. And with Donk also having another transcendent CT side performance, it feels like, okay, maybe this time it'll be the moment for Vitality to bend too far, to break finally. But dude, this overtime, even compared to the one on Nuke, no. This overtime from Vitality, this was Vitality. This was first half of the year, we don't lose to anybody Vitality. This is, you are going to sit there and watch as we overwhelm you round after round Vitality. The way they clean swept this T side was just, it was a clinic. It was an absolute clinic. And you had impact from everybody. Flames, Rob, ZywoOo, just take your fucking pick. ZywoOo had a great 3K. Mezzy had that unbelievable 4K on the final round of the first half on the A side and sandwich. Just standing tall. Takes an amazing gunfight into Donk with the great backup flashes from, I think, Apex. Shuts him out of the round and then just stands tall on the remaining Spirit players. It just, there was nothing Spirit could do in this OT, despite how well they had played throughout the rest of this game. This was a back and forth series. This was anybody's series to win until the last 5 rounds, and then Vitality reminded everybody why they've never lost to Spirit with this roster. I have to emphasize again, I don't think this was a bad loss for Spirit. I think there was a lot of positive stuff to build on from here. It's just Vitality are still Vitality. At their worst, they're making semifinals in every tournament they attend to. They're still at worst the second best team in the world behind Furia, and they're still the odds-on favorite at the Budapest Major. That's just what it is. The scariest part about Vitality is that we see this weakness, but it's not like that weakness is ever really reflected in the results. They still fucking go deep in every tournament they attend. All I know is I think we are set up for some fucking classic games tonight. I think Falcons versus Vitality is going to be fireworks. I think Furia versus Pain is going to deliver as well. It just feels like we're only going to get bangers throughout the rest of this cycle for this season. It feels like Counter-Strike is just continuing to get better. And it's a fucking joy, man. Even though I have to stay up late, I've been sick, I've had stomach problems all day through the day. It's still just this is fucking dope, man. We're getting so many good games. It's just, Counter-Strike's the fucking best. Anyways, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, you should leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Haven't taken us by the end of the year. Follow me on Twitter, LionHeartZ 2. Shout out to the channel members, you guys know who you are. It's number one way to support me directly, $5 a month to get you in the video, usually just like this, well, it's because I want to community Discord. See you guys soon in another video. Peace.